get a drink of water because I just got done talking for an hour to the receivers. So I need a break. Now I get to talk to you guys.
I know it's not necessarily receiver specific, but when you look at San Francisco's defense, considering the kind of the connection between their D-line coach and Jim, do you see a lot of similarities between what they do defensively and what you guys do?
Yeah, I think that, first of all, San Fran is so impressive on defense, on all levels of their defense. Our focus in the receiver room has been really on the back end, and we've been so impressed with watching them this week and how well they played. We have a great challenge, and they are also on the level one very impressive, which forces you to play on time in the pass game. So we can't spend a lot of time at the line of scrimmage. We can't spend a lot of time at the top of the routes. We need to do a great job of playing with route technique and playing on time, all right, because they are so good at all levels of the defense.
When you have to prepare for, P.J. Walker, your third quarterback potentially in 5 weeks, how's it going with your receivers out there? How are they adjusting to P.J.? What does he bring to the table that might be a little bit different?
Yeah, PJ's been great to work with. He's worked extremely hard with our receiving group. They've also done a great job of working well with him. It's been impressive to see them put the time in both the meeting room, the walkthroughs, and on the field. So our focus really isn't for the group that I coach. It isn't who is the quarterback. It's more of doing our job, doing it at a high level, and executing the things that we think are most important to win. But I've been certainly impressed with PJ and the way he's approached practice, walkthroughs, the meeting room, and it's been very nice to see the receiving group and him work well together.
Chad, after the game, Amari was a little bit hard on himself after the Ravens game, saying he didn't feel like he did enough to help DTR. I guess number one, what does that say about Amari? But what do you think needs to kind of happen on the receiver end when you do have a younger or more inexperienced quarterback?
Yeah, Amari's been so exceptional at being a team guy, and that's the one thing is that people talk about his exceptional route running and some of the things that he brings to the table as a player physically. But what a lot of people don't see that I see every day is how impressive he is as far as the traits of the person. He puts the team first in everything he does. He thinks of others before he thinks of himself. So I think when Amari's referencing, I can do more and I need to do better, it's truly that's what it is. He always comes to work feeling like he can be better, that he needs to do more, and that if he does that, he's going to help his teammates be better. And we're closely related to the quarterback position, being receivers, so a lot of times that is true. If we do our job better, we're going to help that position. And we're so grateful to have Amari, and not only because of what he brings physically on the field, but more importantly for me as a coach of what he brings, to the table as a person.
Elijah's probably not off to the start he wanted to get off to, but how confident are you that you guys can kind of get him untracked here?
Yeah, I think that, it's the first thing is I stress to the players, let's manage expectations. And, every week is very different. So, our sample size so far this year has been 4 games, and all 4 of those games have been very different, and each player has a different role within those games. So, this week's different than obviously it was the previous week. So I think that Elijah has done an exceptional job, just like Amari, of being very coachable, of trying to take the information that we provide him in the meeting room, taking it to the field, and then execute it at a high level. He's also a player that's very competitive, that has high expectations for himself. He has high expectations for our offensive group. And I'm glad we have those guys. And, both between Elijah himself and our Elijah, Donovan, and those other guys in the room, they're competitive. They want to win, but they'll put the team first. And I think it's great to have those guys. And, we don't ever get caught up in talking to the players about, hey, we need 10 catches, we need this type of production. What can you do to help us win within the game plan that we put forth?
Joe Amari for a second. He's talked a lot about his communication style and it being two-way and how he talks with quarterbacks, and that's kind of a really big focus for him. I guess with, like, how have you seen him grow in that, especially in this kind of situation this week, but also not only with the quarterbacks, but with the other receivers, like just his communication among them?
Yeah, we really lean on Amari as a veteran presence. He's accomplished a lot as a player, and he's willing to provide that information and to our other players. There's ongoing communication that he does a great job of with our coaching staff, with our quarterbacks, of just let's all see it the same way, let's all be on the same page. I think that's a great challenge to any time that you play receiver, is let's be on the same page with the quarterback. And Amari really works hard and has great communication during the week of trying to ensure that that happens. And that includes not only with our own players in the room, but specifically the quarterback position, because we do work closer with that position than we do others.
How much do you think the Marquise not being out there for all preseason and training camp kind of affected his production and even a number of snaps in those first 4 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think as the season goes, things change and players have different roles within the year. It's such a long season. A guy like, take some of our rookie receivers who transition to try to learn the offense, and it takes them some time. Certainly, things that help that is being on the field, with Marquise not being out there, did it hurt him? I mean, there's so many other ways that you can learn the offense, that you can, understand how to play within the offense, from walkthroughs to meeting room, that, I don't think it's a great disadvantage of him missing the time during the preseason. And it's great now to see him up and going, moving forward, and he's healthy and he's out there every day. So that's what's most important, is right now, presently, he's out there and we're moving forward and he's making improvements every day.
See his role expand as you guys try to find some of those explosive pass plays?
Yeah, I mean, I think all the players' roles, I really feel like they're evolving and they change as we go throughout the season. And, I've talked to the players a lot about their roles, what they make it, and it's important that they take what we provide them every week game plan-wise, and they just try to do that the best they can. Do I expect players' role to increase, decrease? It's really, there's so much uncertainty because it's such a week-to-week game plan-oriented league that it's hard to say. I mean, this week could be different than next week and so forth. So, I mean, the thing that's been very impressive about Marquise is how he's worked, how he's tried to be a great teammate and do everything we've asked him to do. And I think good things will happen if he continues to do that.
On the film over the bye week, did it seem like using Elijah Moore in the sort of wide back, or having him run the ball, is still a smart thing to do, or might he need to get just his confidence going in the passing game?
Yeah, I think, as I've talked about Elijah before, he's very versatile and will continue to use his versatility. Some weeks it might be more in one area, some weeks it might be less. That's all just going to be dependent on the plan. It's very week-to-week basis on how we utilize him. But the good thing is he has a large menu to use, that he is versatile. So we can pick from all those things. And I think a lot of his usage truly depends on that week and who the opponent is and what his role is just for that specific game plan.
Sometimes, for a receiver, just take a catch, take, a big drive, to kind of spark that confidence and, kind of get them up on the upswing?
I think confidence is a huge part of, not only the receivers, but just players in general. And sometimes it does just take a catch, a drive. Over my experience, there has been examples of that where a player has a couple good plays and it really sparks the confidence and they get some momentum going and it leads to greater things. So I think definitely one play, one drive, one game can really help a player's confidence.
We talked about it a ton, but heading into this game and with that kind of bouncing around the uncertainty at the quarterback position, for your room specifically, how does that versatility impact the offense with that uncertainty at quarterback this week?
Yeah, The first thing that we evaluate when we acquire players is just their ability to be versatile, both physically and mentally. And the players that can be versatile and play in multiple roles and do different things for us helps the other players on offense, to include the quarterback. So the more we can do, the more we can learn, the more we can provide value for the team in different and multiple roles, that has great value to our team. And at the end of the day, with all that being said, regardless of the role you're in, what we say is get open, catch the ball, and let's compete in the run game. So there's really three things we got to get done at the receiver position, but we'll do that in multiple roles.
With the hip being added to the injury report yesterday, do you think you can count on him this weekend, and what's going on with him?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where we are with that. I'll let Kevin, talk about the injuries and see where we are after today. But I know that all of our guys, and we just met with our receiving group, and they were great in the meeting. They're all getting ready to play. They're all doing a great job in preparation. And I love the way this group works, and it's really impressive to see what they can take to the meeting room, to the field. But I'll let Kevin talk about the injury situation. Good. Thanks, guys.
How you guys doing?
How you doing?
Great.
When you look at this game, do you have the, Trent-Miles matchup circled, and just how good is Trent, and is this the stiffest challenge that Miles will face this year?
Trent's a talented player. He's played in the league for a long time, and he's, has all the accolades, the Pro Bowls, the All-Pros, high draft pick. Sure, he's one of the better tackles anyone plays week to week. So, yeah, it's impressive what he's doing. Competitive, athletic. He's got the veteran, savvy also. So it's always a big challenge. We look forward to it.
Does that mean that you might want to get Miles away from him a little bit more than you normally would move him around? I know you've been moving him around a lot, but even more so this week?
No, I mean, I'm confident Miles can have success versus whoever he rushes against. So, this one's not any different. We're just going out. We're trying to be our best.
How did they handle Parsons last week? Is, Trent and then the entire offensive line, and do you think they'll approach Miles in a similar way?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're fortunate to have some good pass rushers playing San Francisco over the last couple weeks, right? They played in Pittsburgh early. They have a couple good edge rushers, obviously. Micah at Dallas is another one. So, yeah, you got to take a look to see how they deal with, the premier edge rushers, so to speak. And like any other team in the league, they use the running backs and tight ends at times to help the tackles. And then at other times they don't because, if you want to throw the ball to the running backs or the tight ends, you can't have them block immediately. So, they've shown at times using using the tight ends, the running backs to help in protection. Other times they haven't. They value getting the ball out quickly. So I'm sure it'll be a mix. Like, they know who we are and what we're capable of doing. I'm sure they'll have a plan to protect like everybody does. They've done it versus other teams, and opponents that we've played have done it versus us. So, we'll be ready for everything because we know they have the capability to do things like that.
Sort of a mirror image. You mentioned, the defense, especially up front, for both of these teams. There's sort of a tie-in. Is there a lot of similarity? I know you're focused on their offense, but just in general, philosophically.
Yeah, there's definitely carryover. I mean, there's no secret. Their D-line coach, Chris Kasarik, he's, one of the top D-line coaches in the league, people would say. And, I definitely think he is. I've spent time studying his film and how he coaches them. And, they have a really good D-line for a reason. They've done a good job drafting there and signing free agents. That's documented. That's obvious. And they have, a good coach leading the group, and they have experienced players. So, there's other attack fronts in the league. San Francisco was one of them, and the Jets have that going, and Indy to a certain extent, and even Houston. So they're not the only one, but just with Coach Kasarik, he was with Coach Washburn and Coach Schwartz in Detroit years ago, and he's experienced coaching it. And even guys like Mo Hurst here. Mo played for him in San Francisco at one point. Now he's here in a similar system. So, yeah, there's carryover there. It's exciting to be able to go against a team like that. And it's good for, our younger players, guys like Siaki and Tommy and IT and Isaiah McGuire and Sam. Like, when they get to give the look this week, they get to go emulate what their defensive line's doing. That carryover is valuable for us too, and for me. I liked watching it this week in practice because those guys were working and they were excited. So yeah, I mean, it'll be fun to watch. You're going to see two real competitive D lines that love playing attack brand of football and want to be the reason that we win the game.
How important is Kittle to what they do in the run game? And I mean, is he one of the best blocking tight ends that you've kind of come across?
Yeah, I mean, he's fast, and he's got heralded receiving stats and highlight plays and touchdowns over his career, and that's maybe what most people recognize him for. But he's a really good blocker. I mean, he's long, he's a big, strong guy, he's flexible, he's tough. He help when he does help out as a pass blocker. He can be effective there, and then as a run blocker in their wide zone scheme. Sealing the backside or blocking the edge players on the front side, and then, blocking down or working up on the second level in the gap scheme. Like, he does all those things really well. He is a complete tight end. There's not a ton of those in the league all the time in this day and age, but you got to give credit where credit's due. He's a complete player.
And I know yesterday when Jim talked to us, he talked about Z, and he doesn't have that sack yet, but just some of the ways outside of what shows up on a stat sheet, how he impacts the game and the pressures he gets and stuff like that. How valuable has he been so far through the first four in that regard?
This valuable. We have a thing at home when my wife talks to our kids. Did mommy and daddy love you this much? Did mommy and daddy love you this much? No. Mommy and daddy love you this much. So, this much. You guys know it, right? Like, the analytics part of football and evaluating effectiveness as a pass rusher, it's not just about the sacks. I mean, you can make it about the sacks if you want, but, I think we know you can, now the way that people study film and have access to film and the popularity of the game, you have a lot of educated people evaluating win percentage or pressure percentage, and Z's excelling in those areas, like really, really excelling, and it's really, really valued this much. So, yeah, that sack thing, like, that'll take care of itself, but he's, we've been able to affect the quarterback in certain games, and helped our team win. And when you watch the film, he's a huge part of why that happens. So, this much. Does that answer the question? Okay.
And passes a place where you guys might be able to make some hay with Brock Purdy, and if so, is that a reason to maybe roll Alex Wright in there a little bit more?
I mean, Alex is playing well, so we want to roll Alex in and get him involved. To begin with, we happen to have Miles and Z and Obo too, so they need to play as well. So sometimes just the numbers game may limit his snaps on a week-to-week basis, and he knows that. and that's communicated. It's not a reflection of how he's playing. He's working his butt off. He's getting better. He's improving. We value his power. We value his length. I do think he has the ability to collapse the pocket. He has some really good pressures this year doing that. And certainly when you do that and you're long and you're tall and, you know, you can bat balls. So, yeah, that's one way he could affect the game this week.
And the linebackers and safeties have talked about, you know, all that eye candy and the motion that the 49ers use. With the front, the way you guys attack, do you have to pay special attention to that, or is that more of the guys behind your front?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The eye candy, the motion that the Niners do pre-snap, like, do
Yeah.
your linemen have to pay super attention to that, or is it still attack and let everybody else figure it out?
No, I mean, there's the eye candy thing's real. I mean, we know that that's a tactic that offenses use to try to distract you. That's something that we need to work on. We need to get better on. When you have attack style ends that play the way we do in our system, you know, that's one way offenses will try to combat. So we just put an emphasis on our focus and on our eyes and where we need to go and what the important blocks are for us to play. So, no, go ahead.
Ability to create pressure and Obo's speed, how much of their individual like skill sets have brought out the most in other guys and been able to have guys like Miles maybe do some new things that he wasn't doing before?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, Z's a versatile rusher, and even Obo has versatility and can do things in different spots. So when you have guys that have played in the league like Z and Obo that are flexible to do different things and have that experience and are open-minded to do that, and then you have a guy like Miles that certainly has the ability to line up in different spots. You know, you need the universal flexibility to make it work. You just can't move one guy and then, you know, put a round peg in a square hole. So, yeah, their versatility is important and does make that whole thing work. Thank you.